Good morning. The webinar will begin shortly. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on safety culture versus safety climate. We're happy to have you with us. Before we get started, I'm going to go over a few housekeeping items. We're going to have everyone on mute throughout the presentation, although there may be an opportunity throughout for me to unmute you and have you participate. But if you have questions, you are free to use the chat button or the Q&A, and we will address those at the end. We will also be sending out a link to the recording in the next day or two, so you can be on the lookout for that. That will come from the IES Zoom user account. And with that, I am going to turn it over to today's presenter, Lance McClure. Lance. Oh, you're muted, Lance.
There we go. Sorry about
that.
Sorry about that. I was looking in the wrong place. Good morning. This is a first for me. I've taught this on Zoom several times where I could see everyone. This morning I cannot. What we're going to be talking about today is safety climate and versus safety culture. Right off the bat, just a little bit of history behind this. First of all, this is not some kind of Hegelian dialectic, where we're doing thesis, antithesis with synthesis and all that stuff. What this resulted from is I've been teaching a Foundations in Safety Leadership course for quite some time. And we had always used safety, climate, and culture synonymously. So we treated them as the same thing. And I had an individual in the class that told me I should take another look at that. So I did, and then began doing a good bit of research to find out what was going on there, what the terms what one had to do with the other, how they interacted, and whatnot. And through a lot of reading of a lot of things over the years, I just kind of started putting thoughts together, and what I feel is the critical nature of this kind of made itself known. So as I go through the presentation today, most of everybody, and it is my assumption, most of everyone has heard of safety culture. That's just a term at every safety conference and safety school you go to that they have somebody doing a class on, or a session or breakout or something of that nature. So that's quite common. The second thing is what I was teaching and have been teaching and teach all the time is to construction safety, typically. Now, I'm fully aware that most of this group, if not all, is general industry. So that's fine. It works the same in both venues. So, and all that to say this, before we get started, I want you to think in terms, as we go forward, of whatever your organization is. If it's a manufacturing facility and you have multiple sites, multiple plants, if it's a large manufacturing facility, you have different areas of the plant or departments within, or you have different shifts, first, second, third shift, 2 12-hour shifts, weekends, however that's broken down, all the way down into if it was a bank and you have different branches, okay? So think of the corporate structure at the top of any of the organizations, all of your organizations, and then think of the various arms and locations and branches of that organization as we go through. So what are we going to be doing here in safety climate and safety culture? We're going to define the terms, obviously. We're going to define the terms, see what they're about. We're going to look at and this is what I think is the most critical part of what I'm going to talk about today, is the two different types of rationality that result from those environments. And it's no good and bad. Again, we're not doing thesis, antithesis. There's no good and bad. And then we're going to quickly hit leading, lagging indicators. You're very familiar with that. I don't want to bore you. A lot of you are already in safety. So we'll talk about that in a moment. And then I'm going to give you a tool. We're going to make sure you get a copy of it. Before that, all of this the tool I'll show you part of a video at the end. All of that can be found at CPWR, all caps, CPWR, just type that in Google, website, CPWR. You're going to find when you go there, so don't be alarmed, is a construction-based thing. However, there's all kinds of resources on there for all kinds of things. Everybody's having to deal with silica and respirators and different things. They have all kinds of resources. And that's something that I hope to tear down, is this whole silo methodology we have with construction general industry. Granted, there are some radical differences, but there's a lot of similarities. There's places that construction has expertise, for example, fire protection. There's places general industry has way advanced expertise like ergonomics and things of that nature within the safety realm. But it's good to learn from each other. And CPWR and the resource you get, what is super good about it is it's yours. Anything on there you can use and manipulate. There's no copyright restrictions. And if you're in safety now, you know that's a big deal. Finding materials that you can do what you want to with. The tool that I will give you, you'll be able to do whatever you want to with that as well. So let's move on into it. We're wanting to, Susan's going to try to unmute you for this. If she can't, she's going to put it in chat. Give me a little feedback on how you define one word for safety culture. Just get off mute, yell it out. I'll type it in, whatever that happened to be.
Top down.
Top down. Someone else.
Responsibility just came through chat.
Inclusive.
In this cool, your words are being spoken and written. What, Tom?
I said inclusive.
Okay. Anybody else?
What we do around here.
Whoa. All right. Anybody else?
Expectation.
Expectation. I'll learn to type in a moment. Okay. Anyone else? All right, that's good. Just stay in that
Standard.
standard. All right, stay in that situation there, and let's do something else. Hold on, we're going to go to safety climate. So safety culture, as I'm defining it here, is what we want to happen and believe is happening due to the development of vision, policies, and procedures. Very simple, something you should and probably already know. Now, if that's the case, what is climate? Because they're completely different. What is climate? What would you guess climate is?
What we accept.
Something that always changes.
Anyone else?
One person says it depends.
All right.
Reality.
Okay. All right. All right. That's good. Those are some good words. Now, climate, this is a Lance definition like the other first one on culture. What is actually happening at a specific site or location and what employees believe is happening at their location. Now, the official definition from CPWR is how will a company's policies and procedures are actually implemented at the work site, at the plant, in the department, at the branch, at the facility, whatever venue, whatever area that you're in. Because this completely crosses all boundaries. All right. Now, the terms themselves originated, and this is what from the research, it's quite interesting. Climate is in 1980. An Israeli sociologist was studying manufacturing, and he came up with the first climate assessment tool. Culture, sadly, originated with Chernobyl. And we all know that word, what that means automatically, the massive nuclear disaster. And what happened in the aftermath of all that and all the investigations, it was so bad on so many different levels in so many different ways that it was the entire culture. And that's why the safety culture term, that's where that originated. So originated in a terrible, terrible spot. Now, we're going to be looking at some things from two perspectives here in a moment. So first of all, tell me how many 2x4s are in that picture. Now, everybody's got an opinion. Just yell it out.
4,
4? Anybody else?
I agree.
Another 4?
3.
3 on
Getting-
Tom?
Getting lots of 4s in the chat.
Lots of 4s. Okay, so let's look at the screen for a moment. 4 and 3. Now, you've seen little things like this many times, but what I want us to get from that, what I want us to derive from that is our lack of perspective and perception. That's reality. Reality, visual reality is observer dependent. Now, I do not mean that if I go out and there's a rock and I kick the rock, it will not hurt my toe. What I do mean is if we were all, everybody in this webinar, we're looking at the rock, we would all see completely different rocks or a tree or whatever object that would happen to be. And we know this, I think, more intellectually, but intuitively, when we see reality, we believe that's the reality that is. You know, now a few years of marriage or raising a kid or two, you'll realize that that's not the case. Okay, that everybody's reality is somewhat different. In this webinar right now, you're experiencing me completely differently, and the slides, the visuals, completely different. So that's a root thing that we need to establish before we get into these different kinds of rationality that's behind what we're going to be talking about. Okay. And let me check something right quick. Okay, there it is. Okay. And Susan, that's all as far as the non-mute stuff. I think will be good from now on. So these two types of perspectives, what I want to really drive home is the two types of rationality. We're going to break this down. Now, this comes, and I have all these listed at the end, Thomas Sowell, Donald Hoffman, several different authors I've read over the years. So it's kind of putting all this stuff together. So the two types of rationality are individual or articulated rationality. These are both necessary. They're both happening. There's not good and bad. There is a whole lot of different than, other than in this conversation. So policies and programs implemented at the executive level. Now, what do I mean? That could be a VP of risk. That could be just the safety director, however your company's set up and laid out. It could be out of HR in combination with safety. But a policy at the executive level that has to happen. It's good. We're going to implement these safety programs, these safety measures. We're going to evaluate it with these terms. This is how we do business. This is what we expect. All necessary. No judgment here at all. All necessary. So we got to get that first. This is not a either or thing. Then you have systemic rationality. And these are my definitions. Systemic rationality, people living the policies and procedures that have been put in place and providing feedback as to the veracity of their implementation. All right, this is what we want to happen. This is what we believe is happening. Now, is this actually happening? And the actually happening is climate. So the articulated individual rationality is culture. And it has to be done at the top, for lack of putting it in a better way, in the C-suite, at the executive level. I've said this many times and I'll say it again. I've had multiple, because all I do is travel around the state teaching safety stuff. I've had multiple people come to me and say, here's what I'm trying to do with our company. They're fighting me. They won't fund. They're against. Production matters more. I just seem to be, fighting an uphill battle. So what should I do, Mr. McClure? What should I do? So I look at them. I take everything that they said in, receive it, and in about 1/10 of a second, I tell them, immediately quit your job and find another. Now, why would I say something that drastic? Because you do not fix a system from the bottom up. It's been tried many times. It doesn't happen. So we have to assume, and we're going to, most companies today, definitely if they're substantial at all, understand that safety has to happen. It's important. It's important financially. It's important for lowering turnover. It's important for increasing morale. So it helps the bottom line. And it's important for industry reputation, which is becoming a huge deal, because everybody goes online and sees, finds out what you're doing, what you're like, go on Indeed, look at comments before they even come to work there. We live in a world at this moment in time that's low unemployment, high demand, people wanting to find people to work and for jobs in all venues, all areas across America. So the employee has a little bit more power when it comes to finding a job. So reputation's huge. I come from the bad old days. My background is in the bad old days in manufacturing. I worked for North American Rayon, Interplast 1, Interplast 2, Columbus Electric, Mountain Metallurgical on the general industry side. In the bad old days, it was command control. If you don't like it, there's the door. Production, production, production. Those are the bad old days, and they're supposed to be completely over. Now, I think all of us are smart enough and connected enough to know that sadly they're not over. There's still a whole lot of that happening. So that's how we're going to look at things. And we want to break these down, this individual articulated rationality and systemic, into pieces. What do they really mean? So the articulated executive level leadership, again, must happen. Must happen. Top down, from the minds of a few, maybe even just one. Could be the VP of risk or someone that they've said, here, you take care of the safety side of things. That happens quite often. Well-intentioned. The question of intention, we're not going to talk about. Well-intentioned and thought out. My assumption in this discussion is that you have all your ducks in a row. All you folks do in your companies. You've got the policies in all the way from everything OSHA requires, whether it be HAZCOM, you've got your everything lined up, all your fire stuff, everything is lined up. You're taking into account ergonomics. That's the assumption. The assumption is if you want to feel absolutely perfect on your end, that's fine. Total perfection. It is broad. It must be broad. Even in, let's take one manufacturing facility, one hospital, any facility. Broadly, you're looking at the whole picture. Everybody there. And that's what you have to do. So if it's a manufacturing facility, now I've not been in some of the new monster ones, but back in the old days, I was in the Nissan plant in Smyrna, Tennessee. My cousin worked there, was a management person there. That was back in the old days. It was 10,000 employees under one roof. It was just a huge, huge place. So you have to, the safety person over that is implementing the things to be handled across the board. That's another good word here, across the board. Implementation is assumed. We've set it up. This is how it needs to go. It's for the betterment of those that we're setting it up for. So there's no reason for anyone not to toe the line, do what's right, get it done, wear the right thing, do the right thing. There's no reason for them to do that except self-harm. They don't want to hurt themselves, you know. So we've said it, it's happening. This last line in bold is where things get a little wild, because in our mind, we believe, and I'm not saying, you know, we're not getting into evolutionary or whatever your thoughts are. We believe we seek truth. This is right. That's why we do it. We do it because it's right. And it's right because we do it. We do it correctly. We seek truth. We're putting out truth. These are not opinions. This is safety practices based on reality. It has been proven, peer-reviewed, has a track record, however you want to put it. It's the right thing. Okay, so that's very important that we get this natural. There's nobody sits down and lists out how they're thinking about things. This is just what is. This is how it works. If it's working right. And again, there's nothing wrong here. Nothing. However, we must take into account at this culture level where our climate, where it's at. What kind of climate are we talking about? Let me use a totally unrelated thing that's happened in my personal life that's minor, has no major impact on anyone. I'll use two bank branches. And again, don't be condemning me, but I use or have used Wells Fargo because I've lived in Virginia and North Carolina, and it transfers easier. I've not made the move to the state employee credit union or anything else at this point. So I'm living in Greensboro on Battleground Avenue. To my left, where I'm sitting right now, is a branch, and to my right is a branch. The one on my left, which they have recently closed because it's very small, everything in there, the culture, everything was fantastic. The service, you walked in, it was taken care of. The one to my right, this is all Wells Fargo, under the corporation of Wells Fargo employees. The one to my right is terrible. The service is terrible. They'll have a line of people standing there. They'll go take a break. They could care less. Night and day cultures and climates. Well, the culture is Wells Fargo. Night and day climates under the same cultural umbrella of just how you interact and run a branch. Night and day. And we're talking about 3 miles apart, probably, maybe 2.5, 3 miles apart. And it could not be any different. So that's the thinking now. So let's look at climate, ground level view. Bottom up, because that's just what it is. People that are doing the work, they're on your plant floors, they're doing whatever work you have them doing. Doesn't matter. If it's a hospital, it's nursing, it's units, it's shifts, does not matter the venue. You got supervisors, frontline supervisors, people doing the work. Based on facts on the ground, from those closest to the action, this is where the systemic rationality comes from. Not intentional, not thought out, lived. 8 to 5. 6 to 6, quite more often, 7 to 5:30, whatever those hours are that they're working, they're trying to get through those hours as best they can. Specific time and place. Again, a department within your manufacturing facility, an area of the plant. I've been in fabrication facilities. And they have an area of welders. They have an area doing assembly work. They have an area doing maybe some kind of metal bending work. Each of those, they break together, they lunch together, they're different skills. It can be broken up by skill. It can be broken up by the Nissan plant. You had the stamping plant with a plant manager inside this one building, stamping all the enclosures. On the other end of the plant, you had where they put the interiors in the car. There was people that did not interact there. When I worked for North American Rayon, I worked in the textile front part of the plant where the rayon fiber was coned, beamed, and all those procedures. In the back of the plant was the chemical division, where they took pulp, comes in sheets with acid, and done all this chemical thing to make the fiber. The spinning departments, PV wash was an area. All those were separate. All those had department person, shift supervisors running different shifts. So you can look at the department level. You can go in a department within any of your organizations, and I promise you this is the case. This is not question. I've lived this. The shifts are night and day. I worked a swing shift where I worked 5 days, 5 seconds, and 5 thirds, rotating. Every week, the days off were different. I never got the same 2 days off. They rotated week by week, year round. Christmas and Thanksgiving was just another day. It's 24/7 operation. So this is happening all the time. Each of those shifts, I start out as a shift supervisor, frontline supervisor in that. Each of those shifts was completely different. Completely different. Each of the supervisors handle things a little differently. But it was a huge difference when all the office folks went home and second shift then could relax. Okay. The climate was different all the time. Now, this all takes us to implementation is revealed. Is these policies, procedures happening? The climate tells you, are they happening? The climate reveals if they're happening. The last line here, always seeks fitness. What am I talking about? We're wired, evolved, created, however you want to look at it, we're wired to survive. Everybody is. I had an old safety guy, didn't really like him that much either, but anyway, he said something smart. You got to take knowledge wherever you find it. He made this comment to me. He said, son, you need to remember something. He said, when people are having to work for a living, a big part of their thinking process is energy conservation. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have done this, but if you haven't, a 10 or 12-hour day in a manufacturing facility is something to experience. It is 6 to 6 from evening to morning. I've done 6 to 6, 4:30 to 4:30, 8 to 8, and everything in between. And you're just trying to make it through. You're trying to get the work done. You're trying to meet production. You've got maybe outside issues, whatever's going on, but you're trying to get done, get finished, get it out. And what that means, as we should automatically know, is you're looking for the quickest, easiest way to do it. That's just natural. That's human nature. Totally human nature. We get upset, safety people do, when we find something plugged in wrong. A cord is handled or it's messed up or it's plugged in too many in some kind of daisy chain or some big pile of cords. And it's highly upsetting. It's so unsafe. Why would you do that? You got all kinds of issues there. Maintenance crew may do it. Could be in your office. Could be anywhere. Well, why did they do that? Because they had to do work there and they plugged it into the first 3-pronged outlet that they could find. That's why they did it. They didn't do it to burn the plant down, to be unsafe, to cause you consternation. So it's realizing that mindset is going to be different. It's not bad. It's just going to be different. And we're now going to start taking all that into account. Now, I want to challenge you with something that has been a recent fine discovery, and it's a shame to admit maybe my level of ignorance. I don't know. I've been paying attention to where safety is actually being accomplished, where we're stopping things from happening, making good things happen, being preventative, being proactive, catching things, whatever it may be. And as you know, it's always on the front line. But here's what companies do invariably. They have a safety person who they hold responsible for that. Now, this safety person, we'll take it a manufacturing facility, is over the safety for that facility. I mean, if they're huge, they may have one per shift. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter if it's one per shift, but they've got to make sure everybody there's safe. Well, on its face, we should automatically know that's ridiculous. It can't happen. It's ridiculous. So what do I mean? Safety in its totality, and this has become my focus and what I've been thinking about working on. Safety in its totality is decided by your frontline supervisors in the small crew that they're with, on the shift that they're on, in the part of the manufacturing facility that they happen to be in. That's going to make the difference in safety and not having safety. They're going to be able to teach, coach, empower, work with, communicate with that team. This safety person, and we're assuming that you're a CSP, CIH, you are a guru of safety, a guru. You know it all. You're the best. You know the 1910 standard backwards and forwards. You've got your company policies and procedures perfect. All you have to do is do what they say. It is humanly impossible for that person, that safety person, to even come close to keeping track of what's going on. No way. Cannot happen, will not happen. So that by necessity means that our focus in making it happen in the climate, in the field, on the site, in the department, in the unit, or whatever breakdown in the branch, whatever breakdown you've got, the focus has got to be getting our front line. I mean, the very front line. Sometimes it's lead. My oldest son climbs cell towers for a living. And yes, that's insane and he's crazy. But his group is made up of 4 people right now. He's in Missouri. 4 people. Jeremy is about 46, is overseeing that. Jeremy, now they're based out of Frisco, Texas. They're a big company. Jeremy is deciding the safety for my son's life every day. Not the safety corporate guy in Frisco, Texas, who my son has met, not the regional safety guy that's running around. Jeremy on that site at that spot. In your plants, in their different lines, they're different. You may have the team group thing. Doesn't matter. It's going to be decided in the frontline supervisory role, whoever they may be. That's going to be the deciding factor. That's what this shows crystal clear, because to see what's actually happening, and the assumption again is you're perfect, your company's perfect, your systems are perfect, your programs are perfect. They could not be improved on. You evaluate them every year. You eat safety, health management alive. To be effective, for that to be effective, we've got to get in and grasp the systemic thinking behind it and what's going on there. It's got to be figured out. Now, what the tool, and again, I'm not sure how Susan's going to get that to you, if she's chatted it to you, or if not, if she wants me to, I can, is available for you to manipulate. It should be in a Word document. Do whatever you want to with it. CPWR puts it out again. It's just like if it's OSHA.gov, do whatever you want to with it.
Lance, I can include that in the post-email webinar.
Okay.
Webinar email. Thanks.
Thank you. So when you get that, and I'm going to take you through it, show you what they're trying to accomplish with it. But when you get that, all they're trying to do here, so let's get that up front, is a snapshot. The best way to look at this is a snapshot. In your company, let's keep it on a simple way. Let's say 1-floor, massive manufacturing facility. Okay, we've got them coming in left and right now. We got the Toyota plant coming in Greensboro. I think there's going to be some supersonic jet facility out here. Even if you want to get into the distribution, we have a massive, I went out and toured the site, a massive Publix distribution center right outside of Greensboro, really right within the city, right outside of town for us. Ungodly big, huge, massive floor space. People running around on stand-up lifts, moving food in and out, unfathomable to see. So you take any one of those things and you're looking at what's happening at a given time in a given spot with a given group. That's all you're trying to find out. A sampling, if you will, however you want to look at it. Okay, just what's going on here? How's it going there? How's it happening there? And the shifts, I cannot tell you, as someone who's worked a lot of shift work, the shifts are a whole nother thing. When it needs to be done on the shift. Let's do a sampling. And that's what we're going to give you the tool for right here, to see what's happening, how they're viewing things. Now, again, some of this you may find a tinge more construction-y. Take that line out, put yours in, okay? Once again, totally up to you to manipulate in any way you see fit and to make it fit what you want it to do. So a couple of thoughts here, and you probably heard of this book, but anyway, I put the whole quote up just to get to one line at the bottom, but what we really need to change are the systems that cause those results. When you solve problems at the results level, you only solve them temporarily. In order to improve for good, you need to solve problems at the systems level. Fix the inputs, outputs fix themselves. You do not rise to the level of your goals. I can't stand goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Now, I assume with all you all in here and several manufacturers, we have some lean people. And this is your speak right here. There is nothing more beautiful than lean. It's a beautiful word. It's a beautiful system. And it's the way we ought to just live. I love it. And it's even coming into the world I'm in more, which is construction somewhat. Frameworks. What is a framework? A framework is helping us realign to reality. Again, back to our perceptions. We've got these things lined up. Everything seems fine to me. And if you'll go and trace any accident and talk to somebody the day before, everything seemed fine. And then the world come apart. So it's just a way of finding out what's going on. This is a little way of a framework, this little assessment tool, just to check and realign what you're wanting to happen to what's happening. It fits within both OSHA's Safety Health Management System and Lean. Okay, fits within both. In OSHA, the wheel, employee participation and program evaluation. Employee participation, program evaluation. This is a great tool for that. It's not the only tool. I'm only offering you a tool. I'm not offering you the panacea to cure all safety problems. Okay, there's no such thing. Anybody that's been in the safety world for any length of time knows that it is a ever learning atmosphere in which having achieved absolute and true knowledge is not possible. And that's why we need our peers. That's why we need to chat with each other. That's why Holly and the folks have started the safety timeout to get people time to come together and find out what's going on. Technology is changing quickly. So employee participation, program evaluation and improvement. Why should they be involved? How can they be involved? We'll give you a tool for that. Program evaluation. What is going on? What's happening out there? I know what my perception is as the head of safety, or your perception is as a safety person. And you know what that perception is. What we're trying to do is say, all right, we need to find out what the folks out there who we're trying to keep safe, how they see this thing happening. You can have a solution implemented that proves more problematic than the problem. It could be cumbersome. It can cause other problems. That's why we always have to be careful and realize that all of life is nothing but trade-offs. There is no ultimate utopian reality on how that we can achieve, and try to work with and around and figure out how to do things. It also fits in Lean, and you all know the Lean thing, plan, do, check, act. So your checking part, and you've heard of the Gemba, walking the Gemba, meaning get out on the floor, whatever you want to call it. Climate is just a good reason, a little climate assessment to find out what's happening in a non-threatening, anonymous way. We're not trying to, get somebody on a list or something. We're just trying to find out what's happening. Need the bad, the good, and all everything in between. So plan, do, check, act. So it comes in right there in the check part in the lean world. Okay. And you know what the best world is? The best world is when these two are combined. When safety and efficiency and productivity become a single thing and everybody's moving in the same direction instead of fighting each other. And I cannot count in any environment I've ever been in how many times I've heard, we got to get production up. We don't have time for this. Safety's got to take a back seat. When production's fine, everything's settled. Oh, let's talk about safety and have a meeting and get the safety committee together. Back and forth, pendulum swinging. All right. And we all know that's not effective. So what's the SCAT? Safety Climate Assessment Tool. Again, everything that you have in that chat, CPWR, it's all for free. You got PDFs, you got all kinds of more information on there. Please avail yourself of it. Don't let the construction piece mess with you. It's for anybody. So, you know, lagging and leading indicators. Everyone in here does. So let's take just a quick look because this SCAT's focused on one, not on the other. So lagging indicators, we're talking about the past. They're important. I'm not a fan of the top one. I see that too much. Hours without an accident, which results in what? Not reporting. Mod rates, DART rates, incident rates, 300 log entries, your workman's comp, all these type of things are going to be there. And you use them to check trend lines, to check frequency, to check maybe areas that you have problems in. Where am I getting these numbers from? Many different reasons that you'll use that data. Some of it you just have to report. Some of it's going to be an insurance issue. Some of it 300 logs of OSHA issue, possibly if you're in a high hazard industry. But it's on past trends, helps you emphasize what you need to work on, no problem. SCAT is focused on leading indicators. What kind of safety training you're doing? What are your audits looking like? What kind of improvement opportunities? What's in the employee perception survey is where we're going to be going with the SCAT. So let me check something right quick, make sure I'm not missing anything. These are not mine. I'm going to show them to you on their form in a moment. These are CPWR. What we're trying to find out demonstrates commitment to safety. Is it a core value? This is from your people. This is a climate survey. Okay, this is from those on the floor. Do they improve supervisor leadership, empower employees, improve communication, provide training all levels, encourage involvement? Now, one of the biggies that I see a lot of is this one right here, improve supervisory leadership. Here's what happens. And I like to always think things are improving in this regard, and I assume they are. We need a supervisor over an area. We've had somebody leave, quit, promoted, retire, whatever the reason. We go find our goodest and best worker, and we make them a supervisor. And what happens a lot of the time is you've lost your good worker and made a bad supervisor. So you've accomplished two goals. You've lost your good productive worker and you've turned around and made a bad supervisor because there's no training here involved. There's no training on handling people. There's no training in getting things done and managing in that way. And I'm talking about frontline. So CPWR is where this comes from. Again, just put it in Google, it'll be there. The boxes you're going to see across the top, and the reason I put this a little bit bigger so you don't have to worry about looking at them in a minute, you can check. All they're doing is checking a box. This takes minutes. We're already doing this well. We could do this better. We need help doing this. We're not able to do this. I don't know. That's the options that your people have, your employees have, your workers, your associates, team members, whatever your guys' term is that you use. That's the boxes they can check. Here's how, and this is the front part. This is where those things come from a minute ago. This is the form, the actual form that you have. So this is my company. We're talking about, if you look to the left on the form, demonstrates management commitment. Do they have the procedures? Do they share them? I love number 2. It's my fave. Do they include money in the budget to get safety stuff implemented? Pretty much number 2 will tell you what you have right there. You can just stop there. To talk about something and not fund it, to have an unfunded mandate, does not work. Frequently visits the floor, job sites, always obeys the rules, provides PPE, recognizes people that are obeying safety stuff. How do you do that? Implements steps to correct hazardous situations, collects information if something happens, helps injured people get back to work. Simple things. And that takes just a few moments to check. Then this one is promotes and incorporates safety as a value. Do you have regular safety meetings? The second one here will end the talk. Remember, don't ask unless you want to know. Never compromises safety to increase productivity, meet a schedule, or save money. Woo! There's a truth dose of that's a shot of truth in the head, isn't it? Uses incident and team information to improve safety. Do we have a small problem or near miss and just get that, or do we help? Hey, wait a minute. Let's move forward. I seen this thing. I cannot remember where it was at. Some little videos, one of the most silly safety videos. I got a guy. He's working around racking. You know where racking is, where they stack stuff in warehouses. Everybody knows that. And he's working around racking and moving stuff in a warehouse. And he gets a hold of a corner or something and cuts his finger. Okay, cuts a laceration in his finger. Goes to medicine kit, puts a Band-Aid on it, gets back to work. I'm thinking this is my kind of guy right here. Get her done, son. This is what I'm talking about. Supervisor finds out about it and chews him out for that. And I'm like, that's terrible. You know, this guy's trying to get done. He don't worry about a little cut, little sissy cut. He's working. Why would that supervisor be angry that he did not report that? Because somebody else can cut themselves there. So anytime something happens or almost happens, that just simply increases the potential for it to happen again. Now, chewing him out, that's bad management. But my point is, jumping on everything, Barney Fife, nip it in the bud and find out what's going on. The next thing is, and I did some other research, totally different. Number 2 here, discusses safety with everyone, reinforces it daily. Okay. Rewards managers and supervisors for maintaining and improving safety. And it was Johnson & Johnson. At the time, it may have been Procter & Gamble. What's years ago? They researched the safest companies, period, by numbers over a period of time. And the consistency, I think it's a guy of ECU that done this. The consistent thing they found was all of them tied their metrics, their evals, which that's a whole other subject for another day on evals and their effectiveness, but they tied their money and all as a part of that was in safety. What did they accomplish in making things safer in their particular little area, and hook the money to that. Holds everyone accountable, gives them the authority to make changes. Then defines, now here's a biggie. I would put this way up there. This is just a section to check off. Defines the roles, your supervisor's roles, provides them with, look here, leadership training of some kind. And there's a lot out there that's not cuckoo. There's a lot of cuckoo stuff, but there's a lot of good out there. And rewards supervisors for leading by example and promoting safe work practices. Now, where the rub comes is sometimes that's going to be in opposition to production. It's going to be for shutting something down until they get it fixed. And that's when the walk and the talk have to kind of align. This one is empowers employees. Do you solicit their feedback? How can we make this thing safer? This is ridiculous. How can we get this fixed? Help me out, folks. I need some ideas. You're working with this every day. How can we get it fixed? Rewards them for improving safety. Fantastic. I've seen it done. One of the companies we work for in South Carolina, a big steel company, I was there doing a class and they brought me in and let me see how they do this big safety thing. And they'd analyzed and broken down into steps this whole process to eliminate some activity that was harmful. Made a huge deal out of it. Are you focused on that? You got the corporate backing, because remember, we're assuming your C-suite and all your corporate and executive level is just walking on water. They're perfect. So is this happening? You're going to find out when you hand out these and they tell you, or you do it online, which we'll get to in a moment. Communicating effectively, huge deal. I was with somebody 4 weeks ago that had an incident. Nobody got hurt, but they had a little, could have been a lot of damage. And what happened here was 110% all communication. Someone new was told by the entity, and they didn't pass that information to the right person, or didn't pass it to the next person in the field. Okay. So communicates it positively. What does that mean? That means if you walk around, they should be glad to see you. That's how you know if it's positive. When the safety guy comes around, or the safety person, the safety lady, are they seen as a cop? Is that how you're viewed? Are you viewed as someone coming to bust them? Are you viewed as someone that's a good advisor, trusted advisor, will tell them what they need and help them out, figure this thing out, working it together, problem solving? Are you someone that doesn't want to hear anything negative spoken? Okay. Gives them feedback. Did this work or did it not? Just because they're working in the field doesn't mean they're a genius. Put it out there. Let's see if what works and what doesn't. Provides training, and we're into 10 and 30-hour stuff. Some stuff you all may not do. You may do 10s, but identify training needs, regularly assess. You could remove them from your assessment. That's what you want to do. Provides ongoing safety training. That's a biggie. I'd leave number 1 in, and I would leave 4 and 5 if I want to get rid of 2 and 3. It's fine. Make it yours. This is, in case you want to go there, I will not show the whole thing for time, but just a video. Again, you can go watch this on CPWR of their online version that you can email. It's all digital. So let me get this going real quick.
On the SC SMIS homepage, you can create an account, log in if you already have one, or enter as a guest, which we will explain at the end of this tutorial. Creating an account is easy. First, enter the company name and zip code, so the system can keep your company-level information together. Indicating if you're from a construction company is important because the Safety Climate Benchmark scores are based on construction data only. Next, enter the name and email address of the administrator or administrators who will be using the SC SMIS for your company. None of your company's information will ever be shared or sold. Lastly, create a user ID and password. When you log in with your ID and password, you'll be taken to the menu page where you can access all the SC SMIS features. Click on the Learn More about the SCAT-SC or SCAT buttons to go to the Safety Climate Assessment options page. Here you can read about the 2 surveys, download and save copies of them, and schedule a safety climate assessment for your company. Scheduling an assessment is an easy 2-step process. First, select the month, day, and year you want employees to start the survey. In Step 2, the company name and date are entered automatically. You'll then enter the name of the group or groups that will be asked to take the survey, the total number of potential participants in each group, and hit Submit. Each SC SMIS administrator will receive group-specific emails that contain a unique URL employees in that group must click on to take the assessment. After the assessment or assessments have been launched, features on the results page let you see in real time the number of employees in each group who have responded to the assessment, as well as generate and print individual, comparison, or combined group reports, and retrieve archived reports. The resource repository page provides access to a wide variety of safety management policies, procedures, guidelines, and templates in English and Spanish that safety professionals at construction companies across the U.S. currently use for continuous safety.
So there you go. And you see there's a construction bin there, but you can also check no. You also don't have to use that at all. You can take the document that you get, scan it, manipulate it, do whatever you want to do with it. Okay. It's just a great tool. In conclusion, a couple more quotes here. Dr. Ludwig at Appalachian State University. Hopefully you know who that is. He's a big safety guru, behavioral psychologist at Appy State, has the Appalachian Safety Summit every year. He travels all over the world, does stuff. This is from his book. Your system is perfectly designed to get the results you receive because your system is perfectly designed to produce the behaviors you shaped. Most errors are associated with human behavior. When you see accident investigation reports, 94% of human behavior is due to the system that caused it. I am a believer. These are the folks that I have read and quoted, and Dr. Linda Goldenhart, CPWR, is one of the big gurus up there. Thomas Sowell, Dave Anderson, James Clear. You're going to see Maya Angelou in a minute. This guy's the one that helped me with the climate differentiation. Donald J. Hoffman, cognitive psychologist from UC Irvine. And my final quote, Maya Angelou said, I have learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And safety climate is a good way of finding out how they're feeling, what they're perceiving is going on. Thank you all very much, and our time is done. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Lance. We have a couple of minutes left if anyone
Okay.
has a question. You can put it in the chat or the Q&A, or you should be able to ask it live if you like. So we will be sending out a link to the recording. That'll be in the next day or two. So be looking for that. I'll also include some resources for you, and as well as a calendar of our upcoming events, webinars. Hope you'll join us at another one in the future. And also our manufacturing conference is coming up in April. We'd love to see you all there. Okay. I've got one quick question for you, Lance. In order to create a good culture, how can I look for what programs to implement in the company?
Well, first of all, the program is not going to guarantee any kind of a culture. You've got to have safety programs in a myriad of areas, and you can get templates for those. It's not the program, it's the implementation. So there's where the focus has got to be. Are you implementing that program? Lockout, tagout, that's something that's used everywhere. Are you implementing that program and getting feedback and buy-in from those that are actually having to do it? Are your supervisors, first of all, bought into this program that you may even develop with them if it's something strange that you can't find out there in cyberspace? But the key here is implementation.
All right. Thanks, Lance. It doesn't look like we have any other questions. So at this time, I will say thank you again to Lance for your presentation and to all of our attendees. And we hope to see you at a future webinar. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.